So it's the last week of my fellowship, and I thought, let me bring you all along to see what my week is like as a work from home dietitian who's in a fellowship and all of these other things that I be doing. It's almost 11 o'clock, so what I'm gonna do is have some breakfast really quick, then get to work on some of the last minute things that I have to do for the fellowship. Let's get to it. So we're done with breakfast. What I'm gonna do now is kind of like plan out what my day is gonna look like and parts of the week, and then get working on the rough cut. After I finish the rough cut, I'm gonna take a shower and then get ready for my day. Actually, I have a meeting at 12. So we have 1 hour to work on the rough cut. 30 minutes to work on the rough cut. Oh my goodness. While we're in my office, I feel like I should clean my office too. So we'll probably do that. Okay, somehow we finished that in like 20 minutes. I feel super anxious, so I think I'm just going to get a quick water break and make it to my meeting. Meeting's done. Rough cut sent. Let's go freshen up and start the day. To be in the living room, but we moved it when we had company over, and I haven't moved it back. This and the TV. What do you do with your little bags like this? I love keeping mine, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, you should, but I posted these on my stories the other day. Look how beautiful. These are from a local creative here. Their tag is Sunday Night Finds. Little plátanos. Ah! It feels and looks so much better in here. At the beginning of the week, I kind of like to just look at my calendar for the week, my Google Cal, and then plug in tasks that I need to do based on my agenda, my ideal calendar, my life, my energy, my cycle. Like all of these things influence what I should be doing for the week. And I like to do that on Mondays. Mondays is usually my chill day to kind of set up for the week. So my week is in there. All the blues you can see is like things that I want to do this week on top of the things that are in the calendar, like seeing my clients, meetings, whatever else is in there. It's mostly just clients and meetings, let's be real. The blue stuff is like admin, YouTubing, blah, blah, blah. So that's all set. It's also Easter weekend this week. So I'm gonna be making habichuela con dulce. Oh, look at you. So we decided to get lunch. We're gonna go get sushi, either at Sushi Madre, Posh. See you when we get there. And unfortunately I woke up doing my morning pages and I didn't have time to do anything else. So I have a meeting right now with my friend, and then the day's gonna kind of just keep rolling through. First thing we have to do is meet with my friend. Today has been super busy. I've had back-to-backs all day. I just logged into the Slack channel to see what's going on with the rough cut. There's some edits. Okay, 4 clients have been seen. I like to meditate at the end of my session some days, especially when it's a lot of back-to-back. So tomorrow is the last day, the last meeting that we have for the internship. And what I wanted to do in this vlog was kind of talk about some of the lessons learned throughout this time. And I'm gonna start with just one for now. And I think the best one to talk about right now is like feedback, like taking constructive feedback. So during the fellowship, we had to, get really comfortable with getting feedback, especially feedback where you can't pick up the tone that someone's sending it in, because everyone was working virtually. The fellowship was good in the sense that they kind of had their structure of how they can provide feedback without it being like personal. And that was a very interesting thing to learn as someone who struggles with taking things personally, and being able to see feedback as just something to make something better has been a lesson that I have worked through in therapy before. But in this cohort, it was very much like a putting to the test of that thing, like making sure that if someone is giving you feedback, to just be able to take it as a way to help make stories come out better and not necessarily something that you did wrong. However, I will say there is space to discuss how some feedback can come off as not constructive. And in The Artist Way, I am reading The Artist Way right now. I was reading a passage about that yesterday where it was like you can kind of tell when feedback is not constructive because of the ways that it makes you feel or what it leaves you with. If I find the passage, I'll put it here so that you can read it over. But basically, in learning how to take feedback and then learning how it can be constructive or not, it helped me figure out how to tell stories that are much more cohesive and like sifting it through, which leads to my other kind of lesson learned, that sometimes you have to read things out loud, because especially, I don't know why, but my brain connects things in one way, but then when we would read it together in the table read, I'm like, oh, it should read like this other way, which makes the story flow better. How do I want to say this? It wasn't like easy to figure that out, and it wasn't easy to hear that in the Zoom in between that, right? But in reflection, after some of the stories that were put together, I'm thinking mostly of the most recent story because it wasn't my interview, so it was harder to like pull the story out of it. But once we were able to read it together in the table read, then you're able to see the thread that's actually present in the story. And when you feel that thread and it flows so nicely, you're like, ooh, yes, like that's great. And being able to reach that thread because of your ability to receive feedback is something that I learned, and I am excited to continue applying moving forward. I don't know how I'll get feedback because we won't be in this group setting anymore, but in thinking of how I need to see stories for myself and include that in the way that I draft my stories, tell my stories, give my stories time to breathe, and like let them know what they want to be for myself and the audience or the people that I'm telling the stories to. Like that's something that I'm very excited about to like take as a little nugget of learning about storytelling in this space, and then applying it in the different ways that I hope to apply it. So those were my 2 lessons learned so far. I think I'll do some more tomorrow. I'm very tired right now, so I'm just gonna cut this for today, and I'll see you tomorrow. have a few minutes before our last meetup is happening. And I want to just share another lesson that I've learned throughout this process that has been super helpful for my storytelling skill development. And that is like being specific when you're writing. I thankfully practice my writing from time to time, often because of my Substack. Feel free to subscribe. But what I've learned in writing for podcasting and storytelling is that there's a fine line, not a fine line, there's a line between like being too specific and being specific enough and providing enough clarity for all kinds of people, all kinds of listeners to be able to understand your story. And in learning from VO, I had like a huddle with one of the folks in my group, and I just love how specific they can write their voiceovers. And in learning that through working with them, I was able to learn from her like, hey, we can be more specific. Like, yes, this sentence says like, we're going to the park, but what was that like? Like, we were in a windy park and the grass was on our feet. Like, we can provide enough context descriptively so that folks can be dropped into this scene, and we can provide enough context and clarity as to why something is important using data and statistics without it feeling like super educational, super heavy, but just giving the context of why this is important for this specific reason. And that has been really helpful in shaping my storytelling to be a little bit more clear and important, and like just saying things as it is. Essentially, we don't have to hide or sugarcoat things all the time. Sometimes we can just say how it is. And I'm not being very specific right now. I'm excited to see what that will kind of look like in this next chapter of not being in the fellowship and continuing to practice my storytelling skills. But yeah, be specific in your writing. So key. And you know, another bonus lesson from this is that a lot of the work that gets done is way before you press record, in a sense. Actually, I want to take that back. Once you press record and get the story, a lot of the work is in just writing. Like, it sounds partly, if you listen to any of the podcasts, which I hope you do, I'll put a QR code right here so you can easily get to that page. But if you listen to the episodes, some of them feel very casual, very like we're just chatting. But the amount of work that it took to write the script and be able to deliver something that sounds nice and listenable and approachable, like that took writing. That took a lot of writing and editing and feedback, getting a lot of feedback to get it to that point. So it does take a lot of work to be specific in your writing and to just write, but a lot of the work happens before we press record for our voiceover. The record for taping, which is the audio that you get from the interview, that, you know, that happens on a whim and you can't really control that. You can like drive the conversation, but what you get from it, and you shape your story around that and the things that you wanted to talk about in your story. Now, let's see how much time we have for either a breakfast snack or breakfast before the meeting. I made a bowl of yogurt. Now, time to log in for the last time. Hallelujah! Hi. It is finished. I'm gonna go Slack everyone to make sure that they know all my stuff is in the folders and make sure that everything's in my folders, and then we can kind of get going with our day. Okay, so lesson number, I think this is 3 or 4, is being silly. Like, I grew up in a very serious household. My siblings can attest to this. And it was very few times that we were allowed to be silly, or if we were being silly, like it was shut down real quick. And in this fellowship, our meetings were very serious at times, but they either always ended or always started with a silly moment, and just allowing us to kind of be playful. And I think that's also something so far that In the Artist Way has talked about, like making room for play. And also I've gotten that messaging from my mentors and friends that I need to be a little bit more silly, because I am very stoic and a serious girly. I have lots of serious placements in my birth chart, so it is what it is, but I need to continually work on being comfortable with being silly, because things can come out of silliness and connections can come out of play and laughter and all of these things. So at times the fellowship was an opportunity to practice silliness and feel safe in doing that. And that has been a really helpful element to kind of allow me to continue being silly in my day-to-day life, which has been fun for the dog, has been fun for me and my husband. And it's just a fun way to express myself in a way that I have been working towards, but became even more important in this space where it's very hard to like connect with people that you've never met in your life ever. And then you're all just doing it on video conferencing platforms. Like, we can't be serious the whole time. Like, that's hard. So I really appreciated the opportunities to be silly, and the way that taught my body that it's okay to be silly and to allow for more silliness in my life, just because, like, just inherently because we're born to just exist and live and do all these things. So I really appreciated the ability and reminder to like be a little silly, goofy goofball and call each other silly, meaty names and be a little whatever. And it also provided some levity, especially when there were very tough meetings where I was like, why the hell am I here? The silliness kind of made space to let go of those really tough moments and tough meetings and remind me like, hey, I'm just supposed to be doing this for fun. And if the opportunity to be silly and to lean in to silly moments as safe as I could, because, you know, again, very serious girl in here, very serious. But I really appreciated that ability or that opportunity, and I am excited to see how it continues to play out as I move forward in my life as a human who will do other things and hopefully be silly. Okay, we have about less than an hour to get a little sweet treat. So this is the look of the day. This is from Newly. I'm trying to see if I want to keep it or not. So I'm going to try it out again to see the vibes, but I'm going to go head out, get a little sweet treat, and come right back home because my husband needs the car. The barista said that my outfit matches the matcha, and that was so cute. So before I head home, I want to share another little lesson that has come from the internship, which is also why I chose to come here. If you have listened to the podcast, or if you have seen my last, my birthday vlog, you know that I love Borderland. It's one of my favorite spots here. And this is where I did my first story. We had to do an episode around home, and I was like, this ain't my home. But this is a place where I do feel at home. I feel like Borderland just feels so inviting and caring and all of these great things. So when we got that assignment, I was like, okay, let's try to not be scared and go to a place. And I ended up meeting someone and interviewing them for my story. So it was really a fun experience, which brings me to my lesson from the podcast or the fellowship, which is anything can be a story. So much of what we learned was being able to thread out the story from things that are just part of our lives, and how to communicate that well and efficiently and and get to the meat of it without any gristle left on it. In learning everything that we learned in the education sprint, it really helped me see how anything can be a story, so as long as you are able to put the pieces together. And also be open to like learning from other people, learning from conversations, being open to just things happening. Like when I came here to do that first story, I didn't think I was going to meet someone that wanted to talk to me that happened to be an audio engineer. No way. But what I did learn is that it's not as scary to do things that are scary. And you, as the person telling the story, can put that together and find the story that needs to get told. And if you follow me on Instagram, which you should, I'm always talking about how we all have a responsibility, if we so choose, to share our stories. And this fellowship reminded me how literal that can be, in the sense of figuring out how to produce it and share it with the world. We all should feel safe to share things, and it's becoming especially harder in times like this, where it's becoming scary to share our thoughts and ideas. That's when it becomes even more important to share our ideas and stories. And this fellowship kind of empowered me, I guess you could say, to continue pursuing the track that allows me to share the things that I want to share, the stories that need to be told, and the stories that need to be told through me. And I hope in me talking about this, you are able to think of stories that need to be told through you. And they don't have to be in these like formats. It doesn't have to be in a podcast. It doesn't have to be in a YouTube video. It doesn't have to be on social media at all. It can just be in the conversations that you have with people and the things, the trade that you actually do. Like, there's a story to tell for everyone. And if it leads, like I always say, if it leads to love and liberation and inspiration, like, do it. Takeaway from this place that I love, Borderland, that there can be a story anywhere. Like, even where I felt like I had no home and no story to tell, because the assignment was to tell a story from your home, there still was a story. Like, that was the story. Like, I don't feel at home, but the times that I do feel at home, it's here for many reasons. Let me get them. There you go. So you can see the whole logo. The times that I didn't feel like home, I felt it here for many reasons, and I was able to tell that story, and I've been able to tell so many other stories because of that, and I've even been able to write better because of that. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity and that lesson, and I again hope that it inspires you to tell the stories that you want to tell. So let's head back home before my husband texts me like, where's the car? I need to go. Zoom was down today, so I didn't get to see my earlier in the day client because of the way that Zoom was behaving, but I got to see my evening client, and I had really good conversations and follow-ups with them. Really fun. And I had to listen to Chapel Rowan song, so I'm gonna do that. But first, while I was talking to my clients, I remembered I saw an ad for Origin Way, which is like a telehealth physical therapy app. I want to do that because I have some little cositas that I kind of feel in my body, and I kind of want to get some support with that. And if it's covered by my insurance, I might as well do it. So I'm going to do that. That took like 8 minutes to do. I'm excited to see. I booked it for Friday, and I'll see you tomorrow. So I have my exit interview with the producer in like 2 minutes, and then my day's kind of just gonna get started. So this is my quick check-in before we get started for the day. I'm jumping into my next thing. I have it muted, but I want to do a quick recap of lessons that came up from the chat just now. Also, yes, I did cry. I'm a Pisces. And what about it? Okay, what about it? Something that was shared, which I really work hard to do, even in my friendships and everything. But something that came up is the importance of inserting myself in conversations earlier than I need to be. And that continues to be something that I work towards, because so much of, growing up Latina first gen, calladita te ves más bonita. Shut up, girl. Like, who gotta listen to you? Nobody. But they do. They really do. So I feel like it was very, very nice and liberating and validating to hear like your voice matters, your thoughts and ideas matter. So I think it's giving me very much lots to think about in terms of how to continue to see myself as valuable and worthy enough to insert myself in conversations, in friendships, in thoughts, in places, in spaces, and how me inserting myself has allowed me to get to this place and many other places in my career so far, like applying to stuff and getting in, like that's me inserting myself. So just the validation of the importance of me having to do that, a great reminder, and like a ponte la pila, muchacha. I've been at the computer since 10:30. I need a break. I need a break. Lunchtime. I'm putting on some YouTube naturally. The video I'm watching is from Haley Pham, and she's asking strangers for their favorite books and reading it. And she showed like a Kindle and book holder. I'm about to sew that. That looked very easy to make. So yeah, I'm about to see if there's a pattern for that and make that. Just like a little pocket for your book and a little pocket for your Kindle. And then you just take the sleeve like an oven mitt. I do have a lot of oven mitts. Lots to think about. Back to the video and me eating. Something that she just did, she went and ate at a coffee shop. Read her book at a cafe. I definitely want to do more of that in my life. I feel like it's really hard for me to go someplace because not anything is really walkable where I live, and it's hot. So I'm gonna see how I can finagle that a little bit more intentionally with the time that I do have and whatever, but that looked like so fun. And when I lived in New York, my previous home, I did stuff like that all the time, but moving here, it's kind of been faded for whatever reason, and I want some of that back. So to think about. Now that I have free time, because the fellowship is over, I can do that on Wednesdays. This Creator's Home Library is beautiful. Save my favorite bite for last. That looks disgusting. One time I went to this restaurant and they had salmon skins as an appetizer. Loved it. Super salty, crunchy. I love me some salmon skin. My mom used to make really good salmon dishes growing up, and we would always like eat the salmon skin. And she would always be like, it's a good source of omega-3. It's a good source of omega-3. And it's like, girl, calm down. But it is true. I want to share 2-ish lessons learned from the fellowship. One is like writing like yourself. I learned that in many ways, but mostly with scripting. Like when you're scripting something, you're reading it out loud. When you read it out loud, it should sound like you or the person that you're writing for. And that it has just made writing be a little bit more easier for me, especially when I'm thinking about like my Substack writing or my Necesito Time newsletter. Like I don't have to sound academic on a Substack. Like I can just sound like myself. And the posts or the things that I write on my Substack that are more just me talking as I'm thinking are the ones that do really well. So that's even more validation for me to continue to write how I speak. And in hearing the other stories that the folks in the group were saying, when you would hear it in their voice, it just felt so good. I really appreciated learning that through witnessing all of them create these stories that were true to them and their voice. I can't wait to continue remembering who I am when it comes to me, but in writing and storytelling. So that's super exciting. The other lesson is to have fun with music. This came up in my check-in or my exit interview just today also, where that's something that I've been wanting to work on throughout the fellowship. I haven't worked on it as much as I would have liked, but I have, and it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of work and repetition and like surrendering to the story kind of telling you how it wants to sound, and then getting the feedback to make sure that it's sounding great. But being able to see it in that way and step back from the story so that you can go and put the scoring in a way that makes sense for the story, that has been something that is a muscle that I can't wait to continue. I want to say massaging, but figuring out so that I can add some fun tunes to my stories and my things that I want to write, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm excited for the opportunities I did have to play with sound, but I'm so much more looking forward to the different places that I'll include more sound. So I'm gonna start getting the steps and stuff ready for the habichuela con dulce. Unfortunately, I only have one camera, so I'm gonna stop recording for a little bit so I can record a long vertical video that I want, and I'll be back. I didn't know what to wear, so I just put on like a gym outfit. But let's see how the appointment goes.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. My phone is not turning on, so I just want to give you the quick update on how it went. That was really informative, first of all, and helpful, and I enjoyed it. We made 3 follow-up appointments. I noticed that there's some more sensations with Kegels that I wasn't aware of, and how my body does or doesn't feel with them, so that's interesting. Just really cool. And to see like your pelvic floor, the muscles and the bones and everything, that was really fun to kind of look through. Definitely recommend it if you are interested in getting any pelvic floor health stuff. I really don't even know any of the terms, but it was really nice to kind of take care of myself in that way and make some follow-ups for future care. And the first exercise is like Kegels, but with deep breathing. So I'm very excited about that. Overall, good experience. I did not know what to expect for pelvic floor physical therapy, but I like it so far. And I will update you as I go along in the next couple weeks.
Eats first. Ooh, that's a good bite too. All right.
Made it to our friend's house for Easter. Look at the sun. It's so bright.
These are chicken thighs. Got the ribs wrapped up.
Spicy?
No.
Lucky?
Now I'm home watching Common Side Effects. Love that show. Taking a moment to say the last lesson, which is believing in yourself. Applying for this fellowship, I was in, you could say, a desperate place. Like there was a lot of things going on where I felt like I wasn't allowing myself to nurture my gifts or interests or passions. And so when I applied to this program and a few other things, I was in a state of like, como que I was stressed. I was like not in my journey or spirit at all. It took me believing in myself to be like, fuck it, let me apply, let me see what happens. During that time, a lot of the things that I applied to were yeses. It was overwhelming at times, but at the end of the day, what was really amazing about the fact that I applied to so many things was that at the core, it took me believing in myself to open like a door, to open a portal, or whatever way you want to kind of think about it, to allow me to do something that was on my path. It doesn't mean that this was the only way that this path was going to be made forward, right? Like maybe I was going to work on storytelling in the future and it would have been another way, but the fact that I allowed myself to believe in myself at that moment made space for this skill of storytelling to be developed at this time for whatever reason. And in this space where I made some amazing friends in this space, I learned so many things in this space, I grew in so many ways in this space, even outside of the fellowship. It took me believing myself in this one tiny thing that kind of connected me to so many other little things that I might have not been cognizant of if it wasn't for that. I say all of that to say, like, if there is something that is for you that requires you believing in yourself, go for it. The universe will support you once you do a little something, and the path will always be made forward. That's like something that I keep learning the more I kind of follow my little curiosities or follow my little ideas or hobbies. You know, like just because you're doing something, it doesn't mean that it's definitive of your life forever. It just means that you believe in whatever it is that you're doing. And by you believing, the universe is like, okay, bet, here's a little bit more. And the more you kind of play around with that, the more things happen because you're believing in yourself. I hope that you can reflect on times where you did believe in yourself and things kind of went away that was beneficial to you, because it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to believe in yourself that much that things like this can happen. And now as I'm reflecting on the things that I experienced during the fellowship and kind of where I want to go forward, I don't know where I want to go forward or moving forward when it comes to this. I have some ideas in terms of like stories that I want to tell and the skills that I want to continue to develop. I don't know exactly how it's going to look, and I'm okay with that as long as I continue to believe in myself and do the things that inspire me, essentially. Inspire me, and also I feel like speak to the realities that we're living through. I'm having fun playing around with like writing stuff, but I'm not holding it so tight that it has to be this way, because I just don't think that's what I need to be doing right now. I just need to be having fun and playing and figuring it out and continuing to learn and develop. While I learned a lot during these, I feel like 6 months, I don't even know how long it's been, there's still much more to go, but I feel that I've learned enough to kind of just start doing stuff. Those are my lessons learned from this fellowship. I hope you took something from it. If you did, let me know what it was in the comments. You know I love to talk in the comments. And thank you for spending time with me this week. It was a really busy week in terms of things to do, not necessarily like a client heavy week. So that was kind of fun to pick up the camera and remember to come and share parts of my life. Let me know how you enjoyed that. I kind of enjoyed it. So we'll see if I do more of it this year. But thank you for spending the time with me. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being open to listening to what I had to say about this experience. And I hope you kind of take whatever you needed to take to get you through this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Love you. Bye.